the Seahawks versus the Rams. Seahawks are at home. Number 1 seed in the NFC versus not the number 2 seed in the NFC, but it feels like it. It feels like these are the best 2 teams in the NFL going at it. And it does feel like the winner of this game is going to go on to hoist up the Lombardi trophy. That's just how great these 2 teams are. But obviously anything can happen. An AFC team can win, the Broncos, the Patriots can win. But Seahawks versus Rams, this is the 3rd matchup of the year. Much anticipated.
Love it. I'm going to go with the Rams, obviously. Now, it's no surprise. The Rams have been my pick since week 1 to go to the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, the hope is that they go up against my Broncos, and I'm going to be pulling for the Broncos. But the Rams have been, in my opinion, the best team in football all year long. Now, what's different from last year to this year, Poona Ford, and the impact that he's made on the run game and the rush defense, obviously. He's been incredible. One of the best rush defenses in football, and he's been at the forefront of that. Now, going up against Ken Walker, who's been on a great streak recently. Last time they met up, Ken Walker had himself a really good ball game. But I do believe what it comes down to is that I just trust the personnel of the Rams a little bit more, especially when I look at the offensive side of the ball. Last time they met up, Matthew Stafford was the best version of himself. Over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was incredible. Puka Nacua, over 200 yards. He had himself an amazing game. But I don't want to undersell what Seattle has done, because Seattle this year has been one of the best stories of the season. Best defense in the league. Sam Darnold goes to another team. He goes and shows you that he's not a fluke. I can have my reservations about Sam's in these big moments, but that's separate from the concrete fact. He has been great for both Minnesota and Seattle in respective season, and been one of the main reasons for both of those teams' success. But when you talk about Seattle, as good as the offense has been, you talk about their defense, because this defense is game-changing great. And Mike McDonald has been, and for good reason, has been one of the best coaches of the year and now nominated for Coach of the Year. They've just put together such a great unit. And that defensive side of the ball, I don't expect it to look like their last matchup, where these 2 teams are just going back and forth, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting this one to be a very hard-nosed, gritty game where you have to work for all your points. And if that's going to be the case, I'm going to go with the better offense regardless. If I know that Seattle's defense is still unbelievable, best defense in the league, arguably, I just can't see myself going up against Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams, who has continued to show why he is a game-changing back in this league. You want him to be more efficient. You want him to be effective in the pass game. He does all of that for you this season. That also helps, of course, when you bring in a guy like Devontae Adams, who's been incredible near the goal line. Hasn't looked that same level of wide receiver since coming back from that hamstring injury. But even still, when you needed a play in overtime, Devontae Adams makes one of the best catches of the postseason. And Puka Nacua is Puka Nacua. You never have to question a guy that good. It comes down to me trusting this offense for the Rams more. I respect the hell out of Seattle. They're an incredible team. Any other year, they'd probably be my pick to go ahead and come out of the NFC. But I just think the Rams are just a slight tick better than they are. I'm going to go LA.
Yeah, man, this is a real 50-50 right
Real dogfight game.
Like, this is a real nasty, gritty rivalry game, division game. 2 teams that's been the best all year.
It needed a trilogy.
It did, because I thought the first 2 games were fine, especially the second game. Second game was the one I really locked into.
Thank you to Caleb.
Huh?
Thank you to Caleb.
Thank you to Caleb.
For selling.
Thank you for getting the Rams here.
There you go.
They're Bears fans. That wasn't me.
Yeah,
that wasn't me.
I think the Rams aren't the same
and
team.
DJ Moore.
Okay, all right.
Don't fall for the bait.
Don't
fall for the bait.
No.
Let's
DJ
be
Moore.
fair.
No.
Let's be fair.
No.
DJ Moore stopped.
Be serious.
I'm 100% serious.
Be serious. Yo, did you see? Look, we're showing you guys. You read the comments. Somebody was saying, "Oh, Drew, you could tell Drew's a Bo Nix fan when he's not talking about DJ Moore not running." I'm like, what?
But somebody made an analysis on it that he was running 21 miles per hour or whatever, something like that. It's like 2 or 21. 2 just sounds slow, but
21 miles an hour, definitely.
And
Not
they were
fast.
like,
it's so fast, but not 2.
They were like, if DJ Moore just kept running at the same miles per hour that he was running at on the route, he would have been where the ball landed.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they were trying to say like me talking about Bo Nix's drops is like the same as me. I don't know. It was
that's
stupid.
different.
It was right, like
But nonetheless, the Rams are here because the Bears made a costly mistake.
the Bears.
You never quit.
Yeah. Rams are here. They're playing against Seattle. The Rams have not looked like that same team that played Seattle for some time now. Had a little struggle game with the Bears.
Oh, I like this.
Came out and won that one. Carolina, I feel like their defense just let their foot off the gas, gave up a ton of points. Bryce Young was excellent in that game. Don't want to, take anything away from him. Seattle, though, one game. Donald didn't really have to do too much in that game. Defense kind of put the Niners to belt. Darnold still feels like he's nursing an injury a little bit, but I feel like he's going to be really good to go. They have the home field advantage. It's tough because I think both of these teams are so close. I think I'm going to go with Seattle at home, though. I do think that defense is electric. I think I trust the way they've been playing a little bit more lately. Obviously, they haven't played as much as the Rams. But I think that defense is something I could bank on. I think offensively, as long as Sam Darnold can do a job, not turn the ball over, I think he'll be fine. I do think Puka will have a good game, but I think that defense with Seattle, I think it's going to get him to this. I think it's going to get him this one.
And this is the best all-around team left in football when you account for offense, defense, and special teams. I think the Rams special teams had a great moment against the Bears with Mevis hitting the game-winning kick, but that has been something that has costed them in previous games, and Rashid Shaheed being such an impactful returner for the Seahawks gets them great field position and starts offensive possessions much closer to scoring territory, and they have a more reliable kicker in Jason Myers. And oftentimes these games come down to 3 points, a missed kick here, a missed kick there. There are two stats for Matthew Stafford and for Sam Darnold that I think are the two to pay attention to the most. Number one is Matthew Stafford has the lowest passer rating against pressure in the postseason. He cannot play make in the pocket, like outside of structure. That's not who he is. He's a pocket passing quarterback. He's a playmaker with his arm when they're hitting those different arm angles. If the Seahawks can pressure him quickly and get those quick pressures, you can end offensive plays quickly. That's the goal for them. For the Rams, it has been to blitz Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has 7 interceptions against the blitz this season. That is the most in the NFL. Chris Shula, dating back to Minnesota, every time they played Sam, all he saw was all-out pressure. So for Seattle, it's about building the proper protection plan, and this is going to be 2 heavyweight coordinators in Chris Shula and Clint Kubiak going at it, and whoever reigns victorious, we're going to feel better about when they get hired after this game to a new team, because both of them, I think, will be head coaches. Mm-hmm. I'm trusting Seattle. I think they have been the more complete team. I trust them more because the Rams defense, they bounced back against Chicago, but I think Chicago left them off the hook, and Caleb's inconsistencies, they can show up. I think the Rams are a more consistent offense. I'm going with them, and they can match the Rams with their defensive personnel, especially when they go Dom. When they have 6 defensive backs, when it's Emin Wari, you have Julian Love, Tariq Woolen, Josh Dobe, Devon Witherspoon. They have the horses on the back end to cover all of their receivers, and then they have those defenders are big and physical to also defend the run, even if they're light by other standards, but not by theirs, because they can really hit hard and they can tackle. I'm going with the Seahawks. I believe in them. I think this is their year.
I'm with you. I'm also taking Seattle. I thought it was going to be 3-1. I didn't know where Rib was going to go. You guys love each other so much. I thought you would just take the Rams.
Yeah, but one thing I've noticed about him, Rams hater.
Okay, you are Rams.
But Seattle hater too, though. So where am I?
Talk about the comments.
Yeah.
I don't speak nice on them.
Nah, you don't. You were also talking crazy about how Brock Purdy's going to light up the defense, and they scored like 6 points.
Yeah, I don't speak much on them.
You should, because Seattle's awesome.
They're elite.
They're fantastic.
You're a fan of every team in the NFC. So.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not a fan. Not really. I'm a fan of, I guess, the Bears because of Caleb. Who else?
Well, I don't know. I thought you were about to say you were a fan of Seattle.
Well, I'm a fan of, I love watching them play.
You were Ramley for a year. I remember that.
I was. It was an agenda.
Yeah,
you were a Browns fan.
I love Denzel Ward.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have a year. Yeah. Either way, Seattle's awesome. I think we know that. It's hard for me to predict the matchup, though, just because these last few games for the Rams, we talked about over the last 6 weeks, really, their offense hasn't looked as it had earlier in the year. But when you do look at the last matchup the Rams had against Seattle, it felt like that was Matthew Stafford sealing the MVP. He was perfect, and Sam Darnold was able to bounce back from interceptions, which is what you really want to see, because earlier in his career, especially like the Minnesota game, once he starts throwing, or when he was in Minnesota, I should say, throws a couple of picks, the game unravels, and then the offense shuts down and it's over. But in this game, he was able to stay in it. They go to overtime. We know what happens. So that's why it's hard for me to say what version are we going to get. Are the Rams going to be able to turn back the clock? Turn back the clock. I know it wasn't too long ago, but are they able to look like the prime versions of themselves? Because no disrespect to the Panthers defense or the Bears defense or Atlanta's like that they've played over these last 6 weeks or so. But now you're going up against arguably the best defense in football. So do you just match up so much better with Seattle that you're going to be able to run out an efficient offense? That's my biggest question in this game. I just know the level of defense that you get from Seattle week in and week out. Like, I feel like they could hold the Rams to 13 or 17 points. I feel like that is very much in the cards. And now you're not asking Sam to go out there and win a shootout by any means, right? As long as he just plays in his game, which I think he could do. Last week, I didn't learn anything because the game was over halfway through the second quarter. But I do think he has shown throughout this year, specifically that second Rams matchup, I don't think shit's going to unravel. And that's really what you have to avoid. Sam could throw an interception or two. The defense could get a fumble or two back, an interception or two back. And you mentioned the special teams unit too. So I feel like their room for error is just a little bit larger because they're bringing a very special unit on the defensive side of the ball.
It's going to be a hell of a matchup. This is the number 1 team in DVOA versus the number 2 team in DVOA. It is a historic level matchup. It's statistically,
it's the best matchup ever, isn't it?
Yes, the best NFC Championship matchup in history. That's how awesome these two teams are.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens.
I wish Bo Nix was playing.